Come on, guys. You know what time it is. I know it's Monday. That doesn't mean you're allowed to be late. I'm the only one allowed to be late to this stream. Welcome everybody to the show. Like I said, it's Monday. I'm your host, Stuart Davis, flawed man of God, humble parishioner at a small church just outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm not a pastor, not a biblical scholar, and I haven't been to seminary. I'm not trying to get you to join my church or donate to any special cause. What I'm here to do is talk about God, talk about Jesus, talk about the Holy Spirit, talk about the Bible, talk about Christianity, and talk about a wide variety of different issues, topics, and current events, and give you my perspective on them, one that I think is reflective of your average Christian guy. I've been a Christian all my life, 40 years, non-denominational Protestant, not subscribing to any particular doctrine or denomination, just in the Word daily, trying to do it better each and every day. Often I'll get it right, but many times I'll get it wrong. But no matter what, if you see me streaming, if you are listening to me as I'm on this channel, you're going to be getting my honest takes and opinions. So if you are somebody who is interested in learning more about Jesus, maybe you are maybe you just want answers. Maybe you are, like I often say, looking to know if there's more to this life, more to your existence than just this life on earth. And maybe that's causing you some apprehension. Maybe you feel like something's missing in your life. Maybe you are just lost. And you're wondering who Jesus is, what Christianity is all about. You're wondering, what is it about faith that works? Welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. You're a big reason why I started this show in the first place. Hopefully what I offer here, what I present here, which is a very layperson approach, you're not getting somebody from standing on the pulpit. You're getting somebody from the pew, sitting in the pew next to you. That opinion. It's very relaxed. It's a very comfortable stream. It's very open and encouraging of questions to come in. It's small, a little bit of a more tight-knit setting, and one maybe you might find some comfort in. We've got a very small community, and we want to hear what you have to say. And hopefully, whatever it is you get out of this will help send you down a path to salvation. Hopefully, you get the answers that you need, not the answers that you want, the answers that you need. So, please, by all means, tune in and get whatever you can out of this. If you were already a Christian and you just enjoy Christian topics and discussions, welcome as well. We run this very similar to a Wednesday night study group or a Sunday school. And again, comments are encouraged. They are welcome, and I want to hear from you. No matter if you are just starting to inquire about Christianity or you are so mature in the faith that you have far surpassed me, it doesn't matter. Get in the chat. We've got a great group of folks who tune in and night out, who contribute. The chat makes this show better. The chat is encouraging to me. They oftentimes can correct me. And that's what I want to hear from you. What do you think that I'm doing right? What do you think that I'm doing wrong? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? How do you interpret what we're discussing, which is oftentimes biblical passages? What are we talking about that speaks to you personally from personal experience or opinions or whatever? Like I said, small community. If you put something in the chat, I'm going to read it and respond to it. And I will be happy to do so. So like I said, that's the show. That's the channel. These are the personalities that you're dealing with. And without further ado, let's get into the show proper. How is everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Hope you guys all had a good weekend. Good, long, safe, relaxing, productive weekend. I was supposed to bring a tree down. I'm going to have to push that back until till later. Happy Veterans Happy Veterans Day to any of my fellow veterans out there. Hopefully, you got your free meals and free deals. Me and the father-in-law, who was a draftee in Vietnam, we took the kids after they got off the school bus and went to O'Charlie's Friday because their deal went for Friday and Saturday. Went to O'Charlie's, got some food, had a great time. That's what we usually do on Veterans Day, and it's a good time to appreciate the appreciation that the country expresses towards you. Not everybody feels that way, but enough people feel that way to help you understand. I was having a conversation with somebody today, and the person was from Long Island, and we were talking about 9/11 because he's a few years older than me, and how it did change everything. And I would say around Memorial Day and for Veterans Day, I get really conflicted about my time in the service. I joined. I always wanted to be in the military. I joined out of patriotism. People join for many different reasons. They join for um, school money, college money. They join because they don't have anywhere else to go. They join because some people want to shoot people. um, they go because they want to see action. They go because they think it's cool. And I fell into I think it's cool and the patriotism part of it. The town that I live in, that I grew up in, is kind of a slice of the American dream, and that's the insulated um, experience I had growing up. Wasn't always perfect, but it was ideal in many ways. Lots of room, good school system. Parents were My parents were married, still are married. Most people's parents that you were around uh, were married. You didn't have a lot of people coming from broken homes. There's just not a lot of broken homes around here. Um, there were there every the expectation was everybody was going to be at church on Sunday, and there you have it. That was my experience. That's an environment that I believed in and still believe in. Though it's a little bit more jaded and I'm a little bit more experienced, a little more callous than it was back then. But as a kid, as a youth, even as much as I hated my time in high school or whatnot, the what my hometown represented was my idea of what most of America was. And that is, if you grow up in that setting, that is obviously an environment worth protecting. And that's what I felt. And I felt that, the American Constitution, um, and the whole apparatus and everything is what set us up for success. Maybe I didn't give enough credit to God for that, but for whatever reason, fighting in Iraq was not exactly the same as fighting in World War II. Lines were a lot. The lines were a lot less clear. Obviously, in World War II, you had an aggressive advancing force that was committed to visiting lots of violence and lots of mistreatment towards its adversaries, and you had a force fighting against that. And then you also had the communists in Russia, who just existed, and then somebody pissed them off, and they started attacking them. Um, Iraq's a different experience. Iraq, it felt like there were no good guys in there. There was a lot of innocent people caught in caught in the mix. It felt like America was going in to help one bad guy beat up on another bad guy. And I'm sure Afghanistan kind of felt the same way as well. The culture is so different over there. The interactions, the belief systems, everything. So much of what goes on and what is expected and thought normal over there is anathema to us, and vice versa. And again, I say the same thing as what did America represent coming into that to that um, fight? Do you think Afghanistan, um, if you think people in Afghanistan and Iraq who have a whole host of their own issues, hangups, vices, etc., but do you think that we were the paragon of wholesome behavior when we live as sinful an environment as we do? Very much given into hedonism, lust, greed, a lot of those things. And seeing the American church largely fight against it, right? A little bit, but also kind of just tolerating it. They won't view us as saviors at that point. And so, like I said, very conflicted in many of my in my feelings. I don't feel like I did anything wrong, but I kind of wonder what difference did I make? And that is a heavy emotion to have. And so I think that's another big reason why suicide among veterans is high. One is a lot of people who join have a lot of stuff going on, but more than that is commit violence on your fellow man, and you see it happen not just to your enemy but also to your friends when you take casualties. And it's one thing if you feel like it's for a better purpose, but if you're left wondering if there was a better purpose, if there was any difference made, that affects your psyche differently, I think. And maybe it's I don't know. I don't know how my outlook and is different from other people's. Lots of people come home and are okay, but some aren't. What's the difference? I've never really studied it all that much. That's just me thinking out loud. But to my fellow veterans out there, enjoy your day. You've earned at least one day. Stay out there. Um, if you served honorably, um, honor that service. Honor the actions that you had. If you didn't serve honorably, well, do whatever you need to do. But regardless, God loves you. And don't feel alone. So, with that said, now that we're past the Veterans Day, let's see. Matt Felty, hello, sir. Alias, how's it going? Dresden, what's up? Matt Felty said, "Happy belated Veterans Day." It was over the weekend. Manuel Osorio is here. Haven't seen you in a little while. Hello, everyone. Good to be back. Getting back into the mix and driving again. Glad to see that. Get that hustle going. We're going to talk about Psalms tonight. Psalms is a great change of pace from Job. Job was a little bit dour. Job was a little bit repetitive. Job was a little bit preachy. None of these in a bad context. It's just kind of how that theme goes. It's a heavy, heavy book. It can weigh on you. even at the end when you have hope, I mean, it's you have this good ending in the end, and you have this kind of comfort given from God. But the overall tone leading up to that is so heavy that when you come out of it, it's just like, whew, it was a workout, right? Psalms is the cool down, right? Everything we've been hearing from Psalms is good. It's just not that it's upbeat and uplifting, but it's just different, right? It's beautiful. You instead of hearing guys argue with each other um, back and forth, talking about whatever they think, and then God kind of putting everybody in their place. What we're getting is poetry, right? We're getting and we're seeing something that sounds like prayer that just and people mostly David beseeching God, looking for help and everything. And these are ways that he is asking for help while at the same time praising him. There's not the despair. There is genuine just honor, right? So it's been banger after banger. We've 10 psalms in now, so we're going to be going through another two, Psalm 11 and Psalm 12. These are both fairly short, but as we've seen, you look, it's not about quantity; it's all about quality. Though we have quite a number of psalms overall. We've got 150. So if we break that down into two a night, we've got about 2 months worth of psalms to cover. Nope, we got more than that. It's going to be a little while. We're going to be in psalms for a little while. So, with that said, let's get into it. Let's get into it and make it happen. Probably when, like I said, these streams have been lasting a little bit less time, and I'm not going to belabor that at all. Hopefully, our new visitors from last week will be joining us again. We had a couple of folks, couple of ladies, which was nice. Nice to see a little bit of ladies' presence in the chat. Come back into the come in and give us their thoughts. Anyway, so we're going to start with Psalm 11. We're reading from the New International Version because that's what seems to work the best for this book. And we will ride out now. Psalm 11 for the director of music of David. Matt Felty goes, much more insight into a real relationship and communication with God. Yeah. Look, and that's not taking anything away from Job. It's just, it's a little, with Job, it's a little myopic, and it's born out of frustration. It's born out of despair. It's born out of, kind of depression, fatalism, a lot of that stuff. Where here we see a guy who's just there's one, Jenny. Hey, how's it going? Um, with these psalms so far, like I said, it's been more of a real like what you would write to somebody you have a deep and profound respect and love for. And like it's something that you're like, man, I feel that sometimes. Or man, I wish I could feel that sometimes. Anyway, real as opposed to or God just did or told somebody or sent or yeah, right. We're kind of getting a glimpse into the mind of some of those of one of those people with David, right? Matt, I mean, this is kind of we're kind of getting we're not just hearing about how David felt. We're getting a look into what he said in the way that he wanted it to be said. For the director of music of David, in the Lord I take refuge. How then can you say to me, flee like a bird to your mountain? For look, the wicked bends their bows. They set their arrows against the strings to shoot from the shadows at the upright in heart. When the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do? The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord is on his heavenly throne. He observes everyone on earth. His eyes examine them. The Lord examines the righteous, but the wicked, those who love violence, he hates with a passion. On the wicked he will rain fiery coals and burning sulfur. A scorching wind will be their lot. For the Lord is righteous. He loves justice. The upright will see his face. So again, with David, we get the conflict, right? We there's the conflict between the righteous and the wicked, and what God loves and what God hates, right? And then David basically saying, "The Lord, I take my refuge in the Lord when I am set upon, when I'm being attacked." And we can look at this in a more present day attitude as when we're being attacked physically, mentally, spiritually. However, in the Lord, I take refuge. Um, a friend of the show, our Orthodox friend, uh, Thaddeus, who I really need to get him back on the show. Um, he does therapy. He does Orthodox therapy, and or therapy through an Orthodox lens. And one of the things he's talking about, secular therapy, as the meme goes, will identify your demons and then basically say it's okay to live with them. Whereas going through from a spiritual standpoint from God, you identify the demons and then you try to exorcise them from yourself, whether it's depression, addiction, whatever, lust, whatever. Trying to exorcise that from you, and not just saying it's okay to be, to just exist with this sin. You want to try to purge this from you, right? And in fact, let me read from what he said, because I think it's a great. Come on, I want to do him justice because it was worth sharing on Facebook. The Orthodox patristic model. God made you with desires and with freedom to collaborate with him because that's a key part of authentic Trinitarian imaged love. Your work with other entities who want to you work with other entities who want to fill their desire on their own, and it produces passions which are broken and unsatisfying ways to fulfill your own desires that God intended to fill himself. You recognize that your pain and traumas come from this pattern, and you live a life of fasting and taking up your crosses that don't condemn you for having desires, but purify them from illness of pride, of self love, and self will. Most of all, you commune with the God whose absence caused these problems and whose presence is the only thing that provides the spiritual nutrients your hungry heart needs. Hang on. Hang on a second. Yeah. Heck on it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm being a boomer right now. All right. This is the purpose of this life, to amend this problem before the next one. The secular model says this life is all there is, and it has happiness and sadness. Some things make you sad, things you can't change, and not accepting them makes you sadder. If you understand and accept them, then you can minimize the sadness and maximize the happiness. Have as much happiness as you can and then die. So, what's the difference there? Right? Yeah. He can. This is him just kind of typing at stream of consciousness, Matt. It's like I said, he's great. He's a great Orthodox apologist, especially compared to a lot of the ortho bros you come across online who just want to LARP at being Orthodox and not actually play the part. But that's that's kind of what that is. When you are attacked, when you are under attack by Satan, by sin, by desires, by your own weaknesses, take refuge in the Lord. Do what like kind of David look at this from what David says, in the Lord I take refuge. And when he does that, who can stop me, right? How then can you say to me, flee like a bird into the mountains? And then he asks, when the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do? The Lord sits in heaven. The Lord is in command. The Lord reigns. He examines the righteous, but the wicked who love violence, he hates with a passion. There will be justice, right? There will be justice. For the Lord is righteous. He loves justice. The upright will see his face. It's a good one, obviously. Psalm 12 for the director of music, according to Sheminith, a psalm of David. Help, Lord, for no one is faithful anymore. Those who are loyal have vanished from the human race. Everyone lies to their neighbor. They flatter with their lips, but harbor deception in their hearts. May the Lord silence all flattering lips and every boastful tongue. But those who say, by our tongues we will prevail, by our own lips, or our own lips will defend us. Who is Lord over us? Because the Lord are plundered and the needy groan. I will now arise, says the Lord. I will protect them from those who malign them. And the words of the Lord are flawless, like silver purified in a crucible, like gold refined 7 times. You, Lord, will keep the needy safe and will protect us forever from the wicked. Think I can make that? Hold on. Font size. Oh, there it is. There we go. You, Lord, will keep the needy safe and will protect us forever from the wicked, who freely strut about when what is vile is honored by the human race. Woo! Guys, this sounds, this is one of the things I love about Psalms, right? You can find that you're not alone. You're not alone. If you've had deep feelings of doubt, despair, or great joy, great faith, the highs and the lows you find in Psalms. And a lot of this was written by a guy who is he was a man after God's own heart. So if you think you're broken, you are. If you think you are sinful, you are. If you think you are making poor choices, you probably are. But are you alone? No. No, you're not. You're not alone. And that's one of the great things about Psalms. You're not alone in any of the feelings that you're feeling. Like I said, if you're feeling high highs, when you're feeling low lows, Psalms will show you you're not alone, not today and not 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 years ago. There's nothing new under the sun, right? We'll get to that part of the Bible later. But you're not alone. And you can find that in Psalms, and that's what we're seeing. And this one really really speaks of that, because it feels like this is what we're going through. No one is faithful anymore. Those who are loyal have vanished from the human race. We get this with our politics, and we see more of it because of how exposed and how addicted we are as a society with our politics now than were 30, 40 years ago. Politicians aren't faithful. And it's not just them because of the poor influence of them, of celebrities, of um, people of means and their behavior and how much exposure and how much it's been glamorized. I feel how much we've gotten away from God. We are missing a lot of virtues that we used to have: faithfulness, loyalty, honor, duty, respect. If you get any Army veterans are going through the Army values, the Army values is kind of what I was talking. Some of the stuff I was listing off there, but this is David worrying about that. Everyone lies to their neighbor. They flatter with their lips. Do we see that go on a lot on social media? Now, this particular part right here, everyone lies to their neighbor. They flatter with their lips. It's a lot of trying to falsely build up someone else. But when we see a lot of social media people lying, they lie about themselves. They try to put up this facade a lot of times of, look how great my life is. Look at this thing. Matt knows what I'm talking about. Um, there's a lot of you know, look how great my life is. Look at the things that I'm doing. Look at this vacation. Look how perfect everything is. And we kind of feed on that. We kind of feed on that when we don't. It's hard to keep up that facade when things aren't perfect, but you pretend that they are. You can't be vulnerable. You can't admit that you struggle just like everybody else. But the people reading that and following along, they feel left out too. They feel alone because my life isn't that perfect. I need it to be that way. This person's a normal person, and look how great their life is. I need to be normal too. Or I need to do something that's getting people's attention. And so we've created this weird reality. There's nothing new under the sun, but it is that we are experiencing kind of an interesting twist of how social media has fed into our own ego. John Edwards was a wild example of flaws with public figures and politics. Oh yeah, I'm assuming you mean John Edwards, the not the theologian, but the what you call it, the presidential candidate from back in the 90s and 2000s. Um, that's what it's just like I said. It's just we've created this weird environment with this added flavor of social media and this way that we want to project ourselves. I've been very careful. I share my Facebook account is me sharing memes and this show. And aside from that, all I want to do is talk about many how blessed my life has been. It's not perfect by any means, but me being thankful for what I've gotten. Narcissism. Thanks, Emmanuel. Thanks for putting the name to it. Due to social media, it makes a lot of people into either narcissistic or just pay attention to perspective. A lot of stuff is instant gratification, instant reaction, knee-jerk reaction. Get your opinion out there, which I'm guilty of. That I am absolutely totally guilty of that. Get my opinion out there. I am an opinionated person. I'm argumentative, and I struggle with that. Because the worst part is I know I'm witty. I know I've got a way with words, and I don't use them constructively when I'm on the attack. I shouldn't do that. I need to be better about that. And that's not just I don't view that as just a minor thing. That's a major problem when you're not building people up or working to kind of help them. There are times where ridicule is necessary to drive home a point. It is rarely those instances when I use it. And that's a big failing for me. My life's not perfect. I deal with sin day in and day out. But I'll give thanks for the opportunity to improve and be better. I'll give thanks for what God has given me that I don't feel like I deserve. And I'll enjoy as much of it as I can. Hopefully you guys can do the same. May the Lord silence all flattering lips and every boastful tongue. There it is right there. The flattering lips and the boastful tongue. Boastful tongue in particular. Boastful tongue in particular. Those who say, by our tongues we will prevail, our own lips will defend us. Who is Lord over us? What's going on, David? My man. What is going on, sir? By our own tongues we will prevail, our own lips will defend us. Who is Lord over us? We see this again today. People want to take credit, take pride in the things that they have accomplished without recognizing any of it as the Lord's doing, as the Lord's blessing. We see this. We saw this kind of today with that soccer player, Rapinoe, who has spent years with negative comments, negative behaviors, unrepentant behaviors, and disbelief in God. She got hurt on her last game, early in the last game she was playing before she retired, and she used that as an opportunity to mock people who believed by saying, because I got if God real, why I have boo boo. Without it in any moment stopping to think, I haven't lived a life that's even attempted to be humble and honoring to God. Something bad happened to me, which may or may not have anything to do with that. And my first public act afterwards is to go on a profanity-laden tirade about how I don't believe in God. If God is, and come off with it with something as nonsensical of, well, if there is a God, this is why he isn't real. It's but I guess, hey, look, I want all atheists to come across as nonsensical and illogical and irrational as possible when talking about their disbelief. who is Lord over us. Because the poor are plundered and the needy groan, I will now arise, says the Lord. I will protect them from those who malign them. And the words of the Lord are flawless, like silver purified in a crucible, like gold refined 7 times. We just said this about the last psalm. You want justice? The Lord will give you justice. Eventually. It might be immediate. They'll mess around and find out. Sometimes people who do the wrong thing find out. It may be not in this lifetime. It may wait till judgment. You might get justice that you don't expect happen. If your justice comes down to not what was done to you, that was not how you were wronged, and not what loss you suffered, but how much you wanted the person who wronged you to suffer, you might not get the justice you want. Because you might have a family member who gets killed by a drunk driver with an alcohol problem, drunk driver who got in that car to show off to his friends that he could still drive, did it on a dare, whatever, went out, killed some innocent people that you were that were family members of yours or very close friends. And the pain and that loss that you feel, you want to visit on them. That person repents. Maybe they're already a Christian. They made a mistake. Maybe they turn to Christ eventually and repent. God's not sending that person to hell because you felt pain or because that family was killed. If that person is damned, they're damned by their lack of faith and other things. Because the thing, if we judge that person on that sin and we don't take into account repentance, faith, remorse, confession, things that happen over the course of a person, again, repenting. If we don't are able to take that into account, if we want to just talk about how we feel like we've been wronged and ignore Christ on the cross, then we're all headed for a bad place. Justice may very well be, or justice will be what you've lost being returned to you. Justice that God thinks that you were denied. What's good and wholesome. My opinion on that. And that's kind of what we see from here. I will protect them from those who maligned him. And when God says something, it's ironclad. It's non-negotiable. Right? It's great. What's going on, Veritax? And he continues on here. You, Lord, will keep the needy safe and will protect us forever from the wicked, who freely strut about when what is vile is honored by the human race. We live in a very fallen, degenerate society. Matt Felty said the Sean Ryan show with Victor Marks today was super heavy but ridiculously good. Dude was mentored by James Dobson, and it bore crazy fruit. Share it on the Discord if you don't mind. I'll give it a listen. We live in a very troubled, a very sick society. What is vile is honored by the human race. And we see this. We see this in how our society behaves. What we think is important, what we think is good, what we mock, what we try to diminish or discourage. Being a Christian does not mean being a Christian will oftentimes put you at odds with what is popular. Don't feel alone. You can read, we've read about this already in Kings, in Chronicles, in Samuel, in Judges. Israel was constantly doing the wrong thing, sometimes completely devoted to it. And there's talk even in there about how the righteous were mocked, vilified, persecuted, chased out. We see the behavior of Ahab and Jezebel. They're just two examples of how that went. That was in Israel. That was in a country that God had set up and established as part of his covenant. And they were only a few generations removed from ridiculously performed miracles right in front of them. From basically, this is me giving you this land. Go into this land, fight for it. I'm going to lay waste in a biblical sense and give you this land. We are 2,000 years removed from Christ's sacrifice and Christ's resurrection. These folks were a couple decades, a couple centuries removed from it, from the Exodus. Didn't take them long. It didn't take them long to forget all about it. And do what? Who is Lord over us? Yeah. You find out. We'll find out. Veritex said, look no further than the former you. I was just, Veritex, you missed it. I just finished talking about that. It was right after Christian Mario stopped by. Hopefully he's still here. It was right after he commented. I was leading right into it. I think he had tweeted some stuff about that earlier today too. Guys, Christian Mario, subscribe to his channel. He's a great dude, great young guy, just trying to, make sense. A lot like what I do, is try to make sense of the faith and put it out there for other people. He's an awesome guy to follow on Twitter, and just like I said, overall great dude. Christian, I can't wait for Christian Mario RPG to drop later on. Anyway, Veritex saying, but what irritates me more is people upset at her taking the Lord's name in vain when clearly she ain't a believer. How can she take his name in vain if she never believed it? It's just a slur. It's just an attempt to poke. It's not anything that she has any type of reverence for. But she has to answer for her own actions. We have to answer for ours. We need to not be the flattering lips. We need to not be lying to our neighbor like that and harboring deception in our hearts. We need to be faithful, have loyalty, quiet our boastful tongue, understand that God is Lord over us and that we are not Lord over ourselves. Understand that God's promises, God's words, God's decrees, they're all absolute. We need to understand that God will protect us and not to be wicked and be somebody who is vile and yet looked on kindly by the world. Another great couple of Psalms tonight. Guys, we're going to close this up for the evening. We are going to be streaming tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Thursday. I'll be off, and since I think maybe I'll do a stream on Friday because it's been a long time since I've been a lot of sirens going on. A lot of sirens going past the house, so pray for whoever that is for. That is definitely not police sirens. I might go outside and check out, make sure there isn't a accident out there. But it's important for us to take these Psalms to heart, right? Oh, wait, sorry. I'd already finished that part. As far as it's been a while since I've done a Friday stream. And I know I've been doing a lot of 3 stream weeks instead of what I should be sticking to trying to do more for 4. I am going to be taking some time off during the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's just, this is a busy time of the year for me professionally. And so there's a lot. I don't have as much energy at the end of the day because you're adding on the added busyness of work. The kids are in school, so I'm helping them out with schoolwork and everything. This is me making excuses, but telling you that I'm not at my best. I'm not giving you I'm not operating at 100%. So I might take the second half of December off in some way, shape, or form, and use that to kind of reset and hit the ground running in January. In January, I want to January, I want to get a lot of guests together. Hans Feeney's. I haven't reached out to his cousin to talk about the Solas. I talked to Keith Foskey. He wants to come on. He's willing to come on and talk about Calvinism. I want to I need to text Christian Mario, have him come on because I think he is going to go the way of orthodoxy, as he's going to become an Orthodox, or if he is already Orthodox, I don't know. But just kind of check in with him. I'd like to get E.L. Jones on, who we saw as gave the sermon that I reviewed a couple of weeks ago. A lot to happen. I want January and February to be a very active part for the show. I want to build on that, and so that might take me, just taking an extended rest period. But I'll let you guys know more about that once I firm things up. Oh, and Dave, the dispensationalist, get him on here to talk about what dispensationalism is. That's another one. All great personalities, great folks to follow. Just to hear what they say, just not take what they say as gospel. Just kind of say how they go about their business and what they have to say about the faith. Anyway, with that said, Jenny E.L., how's it going? I already said hi to you. Sorry. Jenny EL, thanks for showing up. Veritax, Matt Felty, Christian Mario, Emmanuel Osorio, Dresden, and Alias. Thank you guys for joining me on this Monday. I know Mondays are hectic. I know Mondays are stressful and tiring. I feel it myself. I feel it in my bones. But you guys coming on with encouraging words, hellos, thoughts, commentary. Like I said, you guys make this show better. You make this show feel like it's more than just me on here, which is what's important. This isn't me. It isn't about me. It's about God, which affects all of us. I'm not the only person who is striving for salvation. It's good to see all you guys on here too doing it and knowing that there are others out there. So thank you for your contributions to the show. I will always thank you for them. I will always try to stress how appreciative I am of them. For everybody who's listening along and either can't or decided not to comment, that's fine. I'm just glad that I'm putting content out there that you guys like and enjoy. Like and enjoy partaking in and night out. Everybody who's catching me on replay, thank you for tuning in. Hope to catch you live sometime. Everybody have a very good night and God bless.